So Nintendo recently released their alarm clock named Alarmo, but the last thing people seem to be doing with it is using it as an alarm. It's Sunday, so let's get sensational. I'm Mike, and yes, I'm sick again, so bear with me today. And also, I'm back to talk about the gaming news. Ooh, that was bad. And last week we talked about Alarmo being hacked to show cat pictures, but it looks like it's capable of more than that. So user Gary Odernix, the person who figured out how to exploit Alarmo's firmware to load custom files, aka the cat pictures last week, has now taught Alarmo a new trick. This was actually pointed out to me by a commenter on the short about Alarmo last week, but it looks like Alarmo can run Doom. Yes, it looks like the same person from last week's story managed to get Doom running on Alarmo, and not only that, but in the YouTube video on his channel, he's playing it using the controls built into the alarm clock. I mean, it isn't ideal, but it's cool that he got it to work. He also credits user Spinda for figuring out the SWD pads for the controls, as well as being the first person to dump content on the clock's internal eMMC memory. Now, isn't it great when people come together to make Doom run on alarm clocks? But you know what else is doomed? A number of Sega's PC releases. So Sega has announced they are delisting over 60 games on Steam on December 6th. The list includes Dreamcast and Genesis games, and some of the more notable games include Crazy Taxi, Golden Axe, and Jet Set Radio. As the PC Gamer article points out, they are doing new versions of a lot of these games, but not all of them. But if they're delisting them, it's likely that they're probably going to release a new collection with all of these games. They also provided a full list of the games being delisted on their FAQ. Now, of course, if you already purchased any of these games, then you'll still be able to re-download them. You just won't be able to purchase any new copies of them after December 6th. So hopefully this is just them doing a new collection and not them permanently removing the option to buy some of these games. The Sega's games are the only ones at risk of being removed forever. So back in September, we talked about Nintendo finally suing Palworld's creators PocketPair for infringing on some of their patents. At the time, no details were given on which patents it was or how many, but the creators of Palworld finally made the information available. Now, where the story gets kind of weird, all of these patents were filed after Palworld came out, and Nintendo is seeking damages from the dates where the patents were registered to the date that the lawsuit was filed. So according to the information in the article, the first patent was registered in May and the last one was registered in August, and the lawsuit was filed in September. So it's not really a huge time frame, but Nintendo is asking for 10 million yen to be split equally between them and the Pokemon company, which would be roughly $33,000 US for each company. While the amount is low, the biggest thing they want in this lawsuit is to put an injunction on Palworld to prevent further sales of the game. PocketPair has put out a statement saying they're going to continue to fight, so I guess this is probably going to court. But to get to the portion everyone wants to know, what are the actual patents that they're getting sued for? So essentially there are 3 patents, and they're fairly vague as patents tend to be. But one of them refers to a system in which a character throws an item at a character in a field to start combat. The second one is focused on catching Pokemon in the wild instead of only in battle, and that seems to be an update to a previous patent they filed. And the third one is basically claiming that they modified the invention of riding creatures in the wild and being able to switch easily between them. But either way, we now know what Nintendo is actually suing them for, and considering that these patents were filed and registered after the game came out, they obviously did this to find a way to sue them because of the game's character designs being somewhat similar-ish to Pokemon. It's real close. Now, I'm not in the legal field, so I personally don't know who will win. I have no idea. But last time I covered this, an expert in the field gave their opinion that Nintendo would probably win due to how technical patents are, and they haven't really lost any of their previous lawsuits related to patents. But we'll see how this shakes out. And who knows, if things work out, maybe we'll see Palworld on the Switch 2. And speaking of the Switch 2, that's what we're going to talk about today in our final story. So the Switch 2 is coming eventually, and Nintendo has been slowly teasing out details about it. And by details, I mean basically they said it'll be announced this year and that's it. Well, Nintendo has finally given a new detail about their system. This happened during an earnings call, but Nintendo has confirmed that their next system will be backwards compatible with Switch games, and that Switch Online will also be moving forward to the new system. Now, the one thing that hasn't been confirmed is if it's just digital games or if it'll have a Switch card slot for physical games as well. They did say they would have more information about the Nintendo Switch successor, that's what they're calling it right now, including the name at a later date. And speaking of that, Nintendo did address the whole announcement thing, and they promised that the system would be revealed by the end of their fiscal year, which ends in March. They did say that it had been difficult to make the announcement because they obviously don't want to cannibalize Switch sales right before the holiday season. But yeah, we should have an announcement by March 31st of next year at the latest. And you can let me know your latest thoughts on this week's stories. Do you think that backwards compatibility will include physical Switch games? Again, let me know down below, and if you enjoyed this video, then make sure to tell a friend, tell a coworker, like, share, subscribe, and hit that bell notification button ding to be notified when I drop a video or a live stream. I always do at least 2 things at the same time. Peace. I'm gonna go have some hot tea.